Okay. This one's going to be a bit of a. This one's going to be a bit of a revelation for me in terms of talking about things. Hey, my moustache looks crooked. This video is about self-harm, and I know that's quite a hefty subject to talk about, but I think it's important. I think it's important to talk about how self-destructive behaviours can veer down a different kind of more dangerous path. I'm a very self-destructive person. I've been smoking since I was 11, and there's still a big part of me that smokes or that wants to smoke because I know it's damaging to me. The food stuff that I've mentioned, that's just another way to punish myself. But what I really want to focus on is kind of self-harm and how it kind of evolves over time. So I first started cutting myself when I was 12, I think, and I am left with the remnants of that. I have tattoos now that cover up a lot of those things. I don't know if you can see on this camera, probably not. But all of this is scars. I have scars on my chest, one under my little peep tattoo. I've got them on my thighs, my stomach, my chest, everywhere, you know. And self-harm can be a way to ground yourself. Like at the moment, I'm feeling quite detached from everything. If I were to use the technical term, I've depersonalized. I feel a bit better than I have done recently, maybe. And I used to use self-harm as a way to bring myself back to reality because it was the one thing I had control over, or that I felt I had control over, and I was in charge of it, you know, and I was having an effect on something, and that was important to me. I think there's still a massive stigma attached to self-harm. Obviously, it's not an easy thing to talk about anyway. The amount of times that I've sort of shown my arms like just off generally, and people have said, "Oh, what happened to your arm?" And one of two things happens: they either suddenly then realise, and then it's just super fucking awkward, or they don't realise, and they're like, "So what happened to your arm?" And it's like, "Oh, you know, I got in a fight with a tiger. I was brought up by wolves, so you know, we had some scraps, that kind of thing." Like, it's hard, and responding to those things for me has never been easy because it feels like an admittance of weakness. Is admittance a word? And that's, you know, not something that anyone should really have to deal with. But I also understand it from a kind of viewer's perspective of not being able to understand why people self-harm. I've tried explaining it to people, and some people get it, some people don't. For me, I only really started wearing t-shirts last year, as in out and about. I would always wear a t-shirt and jacket, like t-shirt and then jacket, or t-shirt and a shirt or something else. Like I never showed my arms off because I was so terrified of people asking me what I'd done or what had happened to me, and it's like, you know, having to explain it is just not easy. The way that it's evolved for me is that what I was doing stopped being useful. It stopped grounding me, and it stopped giving me the release that I needed. So I moved on to kind of other things, smoking more, drugs. Alcohol was a big one for a while. My 2 bottles of wine a day habit is thankfully gone. But I still struggle with all those things, and I still struggle with not with making good decisions for myself, like making healthy decisions for myself. You know, like smoking is the main one at the moment. I know it's bad for me, and I'm trying to quit, but I also like that it's bad for me. Like there's something romantic about the idea of being in charge of like your own self-destruction, and I don't know why so many human beings are driven towards that. Maybe it's cultural, maybe it's society, who knows. But I see it more and more in people's behaviours. Not that they are actively harming themselves, but they're clearly going down a route that might lead them to harm, and they know they're doing it. You know, it's like, especially in the gay scene, like drugs and stuff, I think a lot of people know what they're doing, but they still do it anyway. And that's because we have so many things that we've had to deal with and battle through. And, you know, I'm not saying that it's not harder for other communities. It is for some, but just own your own darkness in a way. Like your pain and your suffering is just as valid as anyone else's. Like even if you think it's ridiculous, like for me, the body stuff, like not being able to leave my house because my hair's a pile of shit, like that feels pathetic to me. I'm like, kids are dying in Africa, Jason, or like whatever the fucking cliche is. Like get over it. But that's not how it works. Like what hurts me and what causes me pain is just as important as what hurts anyone else and causes anyone else pain, because we're all as valid as each other. I guess the point of this video, like talking about self-harm, is mostly just to talk about it, because I feel like it's one of those things that just people don't talk about, and I've never been this open. Apart, you know, a few of my close friends know, so now they all know, I guess. But I guess the extent to which it has affected me, maybe they don't know. I hope that one day, as with all of the things I have talked about, I'm going to talk about, like, these things aren't weapons that we use to judge other people with, you know, like, because of what I have done to myself and because of what has happened to me doesn't make me crazy or any of that kind of thing. Like, I just had a bad time and I survived it. That's the other thing as well. Like, I know that's also a cliche, but these are like battle wounds, and for now I've won that battle, so that's important. Again, I hadn't planned to do this, just sat up in my bed and I was like, yeah, fuck it. Finger guns because they're cool. I will see you for the next video.